I've been diagnosed with ADHD, and while I think I have a handle on it, I don't know how to bring it up at work. Should I bring it up? What do I say if I do?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and we could slot in ADHD. We could put depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress, divorced, grieving, your dog died. It doesn't really matter what you put in there. Well, not your dog died as much, but mental health issues. There is no legal reason why we shouldn't be able to bring up a mental health issue. So legally, you can't lose your job for having a mental illness of sorts. But that's just the legality. I think what's probably far more important here is people's sense of safety within the place that they work. And how we gauge that safety is by observing others in our vortex. How have they been treated when they're fragile? What's happened to them when they haven't been able to step up? Even what's happened to people when they've been on mat leave and come back. People are watching all the time as to what the culture is saying. It's not what it says on the back of the toilet door. It's not what it says in the HR manuals. It's how people have been supported or otherwise when they have shown or declared their cards. So that's probably the first thing is, you're assessing what you anticipate the response to be. I think when ideally, if it feels safe enough, it is important to share something of your mental health concerns in the workplace. It doesn't mean you get on the blower and tell everyone in the office, but you choose the select or safest people to share that with. And yet do not assume that people that you're sharing, so you might say to them, I've been diagnosed with ADHD. I just wanted you to know. That's making an assumption, A, that your boss or colleague or peer or whoever it is you're telling understands the diagnosis that you're sharing. But B, it's also assuming that they understand the impact of this diagnosis on you. And no one can know that. You could, I like to say, if you've met one person with depression, you've met one person with depression. That's because it manifests differently for all of us. And ADHD, of course, is no different. So really what you're trying to communicate in this conversation is how it lands for you. So you might say something like, with someone who feels safe once you've got that safety piece in check. I've been diagnosed with ADHD and I wanted to share how it impacts you and how I think you're going to get the best out of me. What I need to really thrive in this environment alongside my ADHD. It doesn't define me. It's one part of me and I've got some solutions that I'd like to share with you. So you're not saying to them, help me, I'm drowning. You're saying, this is what I know about myself and this is what I know is what I need to work with this part of me. And I've got other parts of me that are freaking amazing and that, kick a lot of goals. And there's no shame, there's no judgment in this, not from me. And I'm not asking, and I don't want that from you either. So I guess it's more of a solution focused approach.
I think, the safety aspect of it is a really important part, and really understanding what the culture of leadership is that's inside your business. And as Sabina said, you will be able to observe a lot of that. And even if you look at different instances where perhaps someone has, maybe had a family member who's been very ill or had a very difficult pregnancy or lost someone in the agency, for example, then you'll get a good read in terms of how your leadership team is going to come around one of those instances before perhaps you put yourself out there personally. I know in our agency, we've got some examples. We have a lot of people, it's as per the mould within creative agencies, a lot of people suffering from varying levels of depression and anxiety. And we have in place what we call a surf's up protocol. So if anyone does come and talk to us that they've got that going on, we'll just say to them, it's absolutely fine. You're now on the surf's up protocol plan, which just means if you're having a really shitty day and you don't think the best place for you is going to be in this environment, you literally just need to send a text message to myself or our Chief Creative Officer. All it's got to say is surf's up. We'll know what's going on. But the commitment you must make in return to us is that you take a phone call from us later in the day, and that is purely for us just to see if you're okay. Another example, we've got someone in the agency that has dyslexia. So again, from a leadership perspective, when we've got long files that perhaps may need to be read, we have gone to the extent of saying, I'm happy to be the voiceover talent, if you like. I'll read it out, record it, and then you can listen to the dialogue rather than need to read it if that's going to be helpful. Now, you're not going to get that in every agency because it is going to come down to the culture of the leaders and their level of compassion for staff. But I would challenge that if you don't feel like you can be yourself in the environment that you're in, then that's not the environment for you.
Yeah, great.
Bravo.
That's great.
We have 5,000 people applying for jobs at TBWA now. But I would also say, you know, it's so trite, but be the change you want to see. We all know that's saying. And now that you've heard and seen and lived and smelt another way through Kimberly's narrative, how can you invite that kind of change in your own agency or your own environment so that it's not present at the select few, but it becomes the norm? So we're all surfing.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, brilliant.